Namase, my nchi a mom gusu omo hwe sabre. Me ankasa me yon kome na me nua preko pe Charles Befi. Odi nchiremu aba se a sad one. Opeyin Kofi Atachi. Eda from o papa. Very sad. Saturday we na ye pen crab ye e wo kwapon. Nti Charles Befi o chira de wo Kukum Senior High School. Say also free SHS. Oh, I'm sure. Eti good morning. A teacher for mo Kukum SHS. Say mo na mabeka ahafo regional. Ti mo nya adwumaden ma ahafo yentimi enko enim Charles Befi so yakọ. On the brighter side, Frimpong Emmanuel also a Chindiri Education Office. And there was happy birthday enko Emma. And then my good friend Rap T or say Saint Third Eye Sensitive. Good morning. So on the wings of Ultimate Remedial School, they be Adam Mekao so was Saint Fusu or Mankasim or Dunkwa no thing and I say oh Bonsun Quanta. Akwenya betoa ma say which road so when went to me on board homo din krana. This time there's a quenya for you so bit mature north deck. No what me pass ye if say you created that needed necessary environment in the amount. Now what me they pass on social. Inti for nature Ultimate Remedial School Ebra from 102446969111 and 0207891004. Afa so yebekọ so ahyentade pa ne bo ewo fom. Me come for Excellence Boutique at the mount. Excellence Boutique man member mpanyimfo ne nkwada nyina wono ntade aye krado wodom. Odu oni chen kra hanu se Madina odoko ana afe Spinters Road ubenya bi ewo. Afe Kaswa ana afe Tema ebi nso ewo ho. Ana takrade na sunwane wono nkrabata fofo bobi okufodi ade bibia ekoso yeda adehia bokufodi yeda masipi samotimi ebo akwanso kosokra. Ana afe Lucky Herbal so koso ka say abasobode de ene wonagya madaroma ene omuso monde bonera de Adom ana de omokọ manim sa eye ehama no makasi ani na aye bibidru yade bi ada ne krankro da so bia ne bra de kodom Lucky Herbal Clinic and one ebo kwanso kosokra frɛ 0260791194 and 0277465855 na yakoso ada eye ejumaku a one day Korean Red Ginseng aba edwaso Mega Joy Company one also other man na make you better wanna say so also the Korean Red Ginseng and so the abre nyese ginseng bia na ginseng nemum eno ne red Korean Red Ginseng ultimate didi no wetimi adayi no wetimi so aye bema ankasa. These are the three things. 0303 hey is also 9704 96 hey radio Jacopo radio Yemo 02013995331 Jonas obi antiase me na me da me ase Sarah obetimi Sarah 02013995332 na fe wakope Korean Red Ginseng na chakwa na oni won eto adansidi free Sarah opare ho aba no eso ani nti bibia be ka cho se kope bi na to and Maritime Authority penyipa oto my krata na chese ene odu adwuma aba na wieye a ona adwuma mpanyimfo ahia area kwa mewusu. Good morning ono deputy Dan Apienin mejiri se Apienin area Apienin so onzo beto adwuma pa area kwa mewusu so ebeye it's about age and I also understand Ghana Ports so penyipa ono so na krata so odi akwa Obaka maybe news be beto dwa Emma information minister because say uncommon enye papa but from what we are reading now it's like sana montuo no edisua echo one after the other. Yebaka ko he na otwe wie ya the question dey asema na make minister information kwajo ponkroma nsema auditu dwa efa Ghana nsem ne bi ho ebi nso efa kanema mpanyin enkomo a okodi kire diplomacy yakwaba yeba era Benjamin Aye Atenase and Nilante van der Poy and so Atenase yakwaba.
The government of Ghana will be serving notice to the members of the diplomatic community that two of these three videos and the narratives that the former president gave to them on the said videos are probably false and designed to tarnish Ghana's hard-won reputation in the eyes of the international community. Now here are the specifics. The first video which purports to show some security persons singing and dancing at a funeral. Which security persons the former president told them were MPP vigilante men in song and dance at the funeral of the former Ayawaso West Wogon MP, the Honorable Chamateja. And which security persons he claimed were responsible for the Ayawaso West Wogon incident at the residence of the NDC's parliamentary candidate is false. Indeed, that video of policemen singing and dancing is a video of actual policemen who had attended the funeral of a fellow police officer. They had nothing to do with the late Jacob's funeral. Secondly, there's also no evidence that the policemen who attended the funeral of their colleagues as seen in that video were even involved in either the police operation at Ayawaso West Wogon or the SWAT operation at the residence of the NDC candidate in that by-election. If the former president has any information to the contrary, government believes that the best thing to do is to bring this to the attention of the commission or the fact-finding inquiry that is ongoing. Failing which, we kindly encourage him to do the honorable act of withdrawing and apologizing to the people of Ghana. The government takes a very dim view of Mr. Mohammed's actions and is obliged to formally put the international community on notice. They were the target of these comments that you made. We have to formally put them on notice. And in the coming days, the foreign ministry will write to them to disregard the falsehoods towards them. Ghana, colleagues, is regaining its place in the international community of nations, and her government will not allow any person, for whatever parochial interest, to undercut our collective needs as a nation.
Asaba Rea na mano si ochia Dominic ne Ampeduni Sarah osi obuti sunyane Rea na mano good morning also that is also Ajibrea also Shebi. And then my good friend Coach A, communications boss MPP Ashanti region also good morning. I'm sure brother former IGP this weekend ko ayampa mamenti onka Nafi Yembeja Okwanso. Make us say Benjamin Aye, former member of parliament, Denchira, Upper Denchira West, Atenase, heard him say, Ni Lante, Edwin Ni Lante Vanderpoy, and Subabe Kayensa, Ewan, Bedi Kadia told him, say, Imeku Ahodona, so I say, yeah, down as a lucky herbal, Nayada, a year excellence boutique, Nafi Yasada, ultimate remedial school, and Nafi Mega Joy Company Limited, Yadona, so Kwanso, so I say, Semfa ayesa nkomo we emfa embro ono bakwaba
yenia
baby o kanya dundumadu mu asem say
entankos
batekoso kakraka
once a while
for habe 1 month na be 3 bi afem and sometimes more than
David.
Is there any signal or indication say they have a challenge, not necessarily doom so
a call from so be 1 hour or 2
be 1 hour or 2 na saba. Okay, so what are you suspecting? Say the normal maintenance, or because nobody's explaining to be added in Chirimu to suppare where you find yourself. If you are ebe catch us say 2 days so nya kania Joe and him so catch us say a cover 3 days in kania my ibu so catch a show my estate ablaje force be catch us say a banner so what is it? Because of
well, yes, said you can say yeah coordinated.
Yeah.
The idea reasons ni betumi aye different.
Yeah.
Nti be ya nka ye ne ECG and as a Ministry of Energy PR session no enkasa no mo maye nchirimu bi. Otherwise it looks like for me the meme who beside when the looks like this normal problem say doom so.
Engineers are on it.
No, normal yeah woman na be alive na call off.
Okay.
You know, because okay electricity for networking away now. It's Ghana is one of the few places I don't see any other call ahead of this
planning
exactly to be no be akosini dan exactly no say you treat in kania be call in the process no who transform back be see a certain area and no na amount for na a feed on it. It naturally no be a transformer so was planned for that particular area at the time. The mobicisi adan de akoko around it. If you mo rely on that particular transformer, ebe many challenges. I believe say I was say electricity for no or app or game kakra.
Okay. It does. But probably before you become this No, I've always had this back and forth with local government services boss, Dr. Engineer Nana Tuata, on this election of MMDs. So I'm coming, meaning the back and forth. Also said this is the time now because they've started implementing it. How much more? Yeah, training implemented. Some of the reasons I've also raised, namely, say, Mr. Say, Oche said the name of call Ghana now. You got 2 men cratch for so bar and also so and we are as a minor. Na yentimi anko somu enye brain ni but ono so say brain so ni
well man he dey kan no me share watie for no ahwefo o dey ba ya na dey na tata into to bia ma
je ye be share with for I am hearing that ABI baby Ghana in see anemu office kakra bi o Worcester for honum na because Ghana for one is over 20,000 or 30,000. It makes, I think, it's a good effort.
Consular,
Kakrebi Niger, Nipa 30,000, near Washington and New York.
And Madame for your home, Mr. Danso, and the Consular General, no, I'm certified tomorrow. Only Opo National, was certified. Consular General. Okay. Anyway, back to, sir, you better by DC for an answer to Abano.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Brenason. As Ubi I had to master elections 4 times or constituency, looking at the EMU 2 or 3. 2 credited many opposition DCs.
No.
I mean opposition said maybe one side and also another side. Even sometimes under your own government, the crowd challenges are from DC, you know. I believe say to about 1 assumption between the MPs and the DCs for the term, and I can bet
because there's no competition.
Exactly.
So
we has to be undermined. So we now more the same. There's that temptation. Say DC, you know, person undermine the sitting MP. You know.
So it kills off that thing.
Yes, because it's now secured. Also, say you about yes, you about na you or no so. So when you feel secured, who they need is also to MP na sister or person or baby biasa.
Okay.
And not 2. Ebema omo eso I concern about omo districts no more than say the CCR. CCR said that no feel say if they can satisfy somebody somewhere power broker be somewhere or yemia de ne bar
at the expense of the district no.
When you say he will remain there irrespective of so perform or not on perform, whether I say or really attend to the needs and concerns of the crop one and asset, not no. When so is secured over there. However, see I talk about the mawa there. That's why you are accountable to a man for. It is a unyuma and so many are open some to about the tiao. Once soon him saying you be you if you. It's na
what of the school of thought to say Bia. Even though it's a major force of decentralization, it been also says our buying bit is sooner say nipa a year mensi crash no or money are buying iron kofano a more ha. Still that is a lack of development and attention is still in ya kwenya kesiepa and was time.
And the mentiasi papa because this year mummy na mo botai. Aban bi aba ne botai ne say obeyba mpontu akoso mansi and as a district no. So, to me, sure, I buy people ties. Empo say DC, you know, if you the other side, I buy a beer, a bema mpontrio was our district, no, conkai. It means I also buy no sabotage DC, you know, in quote to sabotage now. It means that you are not expecting votes for also presidential candidate, you know, that come the next election. The central government will have no basis to do anything to sabotage the DC, you know.
I see.
And now with DC, you know, so now so about better. Look at places like KMA, AMA. They have no business relying on common fund to develop their.
These are major
metropolitan in so many break. Especially see to about the MC and I say whoever is there now. The near brea means I'll be to me at the mobilize resources. And they develop that district, and yet just reliance on this common fund. Some of them they just sit down, you know, clueless, vision in the hall. Until they sit down for this assembly common fund to come, and say no, they are important to do. The country baby to start crisis here. Didn't know say AMA for some rely on common fund. KMA, Secondly, I mean, akesi no. Even property rates in Accra, property rates. So many abre, some mobilize at jump property rates and what have you are. That should be enough to rake in enough funds to say, obey. After all, a year is about so this year. It's about leadership. And leadership is about your ability to think outside the box. Exactly. Think outside the box. What is this with no resources, no there, now so between I attending things around. Rather than say, okay, to office, no, I can't now to so waiting for the central government to bring projects and what have you into your district.
So decentralization in this aspect is extremely important.
To me, very extremely important.
Growth in the development.
Exactly.
At a faster pace.
Those who win the elections, I think outside, look, even as MPs, you need officially you need means to mobilize resources. Because we need some for better about mountain. We baby now near GFO, dinkomo now near whatever be baby said be a benyam point to your constituency home.
Okay.
How much more be our DC or the only say resources no or emra touches to me you should A, B, C, D mobilizing resources. Right. But because I'm derive our power from amount for what district for instance, probably or cotton office I know I can now to so now they waiting for central government to bring development as a normal argument. I support the cause a brass to say about the EU. Badwam Mpensenpensenmu faster.
Okay. We on this one here by a year abaya some of the on President John Dramani Mahama but progress report so far because reminding area it is saying no me come on.
Kakra Martin them said nyoma eguso pekia.
Any challenges so far?
Oh, challenges there still are say as a galam say call as and those petty in home. But I believe say okay abaya and share their bar especially the many who yes are community mining now. Because problem no and I challenge in the case here no any small scale miners now who have the wherewithal to me kofa or machines near the to me or madman. But you know nkora na okope kakra obi di no. Omo na pay bebre no mo ko use crude methods de koye small scale mining na be hu na bibia cave in no mewu na all kinds of things. Sisi na aban di bi mo akọ training e wo Takwa School of Mines. Na fe aban na ebe concessions ne dia mom omo akeka omo bomu that is community mining na aban mom concession aso omasene e mo ma decent mining na process bi omenya bia anso no akọ omo ho and not their slave masters ho no. I believe say omo embrace ni yie ebeboa.
Well, Benjamin I Nimyan for former member of parliament Upper Denchira West and I National Commander so many kadia to him say Nimyan for Neil and Vanderpoy beba beka mensa ewa anim si nafi ya to en common so and then yako kesian so koma era Asamoah hokani yemi sister Felicia o papa ato form radiator safreno the late Kwesi Brempong Owusu Asamoah 70 years. Nyameya Adom on the 2nd of March, ewo tema and ebekwako the private burial was na fiatna Saturday no the forecourt of Elkanah Ministries International Community 3 tema anopanundu neako nasia ewo Elkanah Ministries International Community 3 Kwesi Brempong Owusu Asamoah Eradin fa okra NCA dem refedue said they're from the cable. Asamoah only Felicia, that's my dear sister. Times are tough, I know, but well, we are back. Mahama peddled falsehood at meeting with diplomats. And the government has criticized former President John Dramani Mahama's meeting with some members of the diplomatic corps over the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence. Mr. Mahama met some diplomats last week to share what his office described as the National Democratic Congress view of Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence. Addressing a news conference in Koforidua in the Eastern Region, Information Minister Kwadwo Opon Nkrumah said the former president only peddled falsehood at the said meeting. He called on the president to apologize as his actions might be prejudicial to the work of the Commission of Inquiry set up by President Akufo-Addo to look into the alleged cases of violence that characterized the elections. Mr. Opon Nkrumah said the government will be serving notice this week to members of the diplomatic community that the former president narrative on the said videos were palpably false and designed to tarnish Ghana's hard-won reputation in the eyes of the international community. Senior Minister Yao Safomafo also described the former president's meeting with diplomats as shameful and unpatriotic. He insisted that Mr. Mohammed's actions were distasteful and questioned why he was trying to blow the confusion out of proportion. Former President John Mohamed's office hit back at senior minister, describing him as a hypocrite. And there's a quotation here. It is shameful and hypocritical on the part of Mr. Osafo-Maafo that he had the temerity to decry Mr. Mohammed's meeting with diplomats the way he did. A statement from it said. The statement added that this was especially hypocritical because senior minister still serves in a Kufuor's government under whose watch state-sponsored goons with weapons and police SWAT hunter vehicles were unleashed on voters. So it goes on and on. Yakwaba, yaba, ibedin komonano. Yasaba, Adom nyina mase, medical catch us excellent boutique and afi ultimate remedial school and a year ejumeko lucky herbal. When I say kwanson koso and afi a year mega joy company. Say for sa enkomo and for Amro. But even before we start the conversation, former aye DC for Drobonso Donko Fusaini Eddie about say if the former president lied to the international community, then it means Joy News and City News, UTV and TV3 are all liars because JM used their news videos and nothing else to show the diplomatic community. But what was Osafo-Maafo thinking? That when they met with the diplomats first and lied that the NDC caused the troubles at Ayawaso West Wagon, that we were going to just accept the wicked lies? No, never. Don't confuse and also the way the Abre and Honorable this issue of former President Asia diplomats any sense back and forth. What is it? The first question is, was it necessary? So I ask the same question to you.
Amahne, very sad and unfortunate. President Mahama behavior. As a former president, o can ask my do baby a adding kakra. Ko Badwam mukra na ase Paul say no ya bofra no. No ye mofra nyoma. Oni ye no oyede. At least on him how to comport himself into a giant mofra nyoma na oye. However, se uhu panyi a oda ho behave to sa bofra, oda ho ye ni mofra nyoma na, you treat him as such.
But probably before you proceed, there's a release to that effect. Mahama acted appropriately by meeting with diplomats. My attention has been drawn to online publications of the reaction of Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo to a meeting held between former President John Dramani Mahama and members of the diplomatic corps, following state-sponsored brutalities unleashed on law-abiding citizens during the recent Ayawaso West Wagon by-election. It's shameful and hypocritical on the part of Mr. Osafo-Maafo that he had the temerity to describe Mr. Mohammed's meeting with diplomats the way he did, especially when the senior minister still serves in the Kufuor government under whose watch state-sponsored goons with weapons and the police SWAT hunter vehicles were unleashed on voters. Interestingly, when the New Patriotic Party, of which Mr. Osafo-Maafo is a member, conducted itself at a 21st century by-election as though it was engaged in the 16th century conquest, the senior minister did not find that unpatriotic and shameful. Even more worrying is the claim from key government functionaries that the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election remains the most peaceful by-election on the record. The dastardly acts of the pro-government hoodlums left scores of people injured and maimed from beatings and gunshots. For the avoidance of doubt, former President Mahama acted fairly and appropriately by taking a preemptive step to galvanize public support to save Ghana from the looming catastrophe fueled by the MPP and its tax ahead of the 2020 elections. Apart from restating the commitment of the National Democratic Congress to free, fair, and peaceful elections, Mr. Mahama's meeting merely shared information that was already in the public domain. If that was unpatriotic and shameful, as Mr. Osafo put it, then he must lay the blame squarely at the doorstep of those who sponsored the MPP thuggery on the day of the election. It must also be pointed out that it is not unusual for government, opposition, and other key opinion leaders to routinely brief stakeholders, including the international community, on major developments in the country. Indeed, this practice is not alien to the MPP. Instead of Mr. Osafo and his cohorts worrying their heads over who is being briefed, they should concentrate on arresting the perpetrators of the mayhem and bringing them to justice. And it's signed James Ejenim Boateng, spokesperson. It was stated on the 15th of February, 2019. John Mahama, 2020. And only this Nsemmu so Abetuja. So, at least you have a background as to what the former president's office, the response they've given to government.
And I'm going to say Badwam Mpensenpensenmu President Mahama was surrounding himself with some yes boys be, instead of surrounding himself with matured minds. Oh, Badwam na me ko to know.
But this is a spokesperson for.
Oh, yeah, we can't refer to him. I'm quoting Badwam. Instead of surrounding himself with matured minds. After all, make matured minds are not in terms of age.
Yeah.
Who say you're certain crano. Say a dream be when to because a young who abrewa. Until you shoot that in abrewa and as a matured minds, no, as maybe I can reflect over it. So, but according to Badwam, in the case of Mahama, there's nothing like young who abrewa. That is nothing like it. You for ya. Therefore, in the process, no, or he be born a cry now. Who need people who can look into his eyes and tell him, Mr. President, you are wrong.
But what's wrong with the message that they communicated? What's wrong with that?
I'm just quoting.
But Badwam. I'm saying that this is a response from the former president of.
Yes, I said topic. You know, because I feel I'm about. But I say, I say, the response is say as about because who say there's anything wrong. After all, even during his presidency, on one kind policy credibility, or call IMF or call outsiders or no policy credibility. Which means so if small problems so esifia or be say dimrika e be call outsiders ho say problem say esifio timuna mehweman say that's Mahama for you. He doesn't believe in Ghana. He doesn't believe say we have what it takes to build our own country.
Ubumi name is say who from any force ubumi abramisu. He does
not believe in Ghana. He doesn't believe that we Ghanaians, we have what it takes internally to resolve in BBR. That is why even Mikachi said, even on one policies, he had to run to IMF for policy credibility.
All what the MPP is doing, I'll confirm on the penny say, Makasa from Swaba by election by most more justified because we say Tiwa and
we are not justified. We are not justified.
That's what the MPP
is justify and we will go that tangle. So, but look, Mahama said the from the beginning. You see, Paul said, "Oya bofra no behave like a bofra. Uni and oya penyinyoma. Respect. It must be earned. People will not respect you just because you are a former president or why this or why that. Not by the title, but by your actions. And naturally never earn no respect from others. So, this time I'm a tree now man for 10 years and I say can ye ntino. No be any friend kasakwa.
Ebebu kasakwa.
Ebebu kasakwa. Sana na mpanyifo kra de kasa kire. So, simple panyimo transe na se bia ne ho ba bi gu ho a panyim ba ko bi gina ho kasa eh omahene pepa ohena no enkura wo nyina no eni beko ohene no so ho ba bi ono ate ase se bia ne ho neguo nto bo se wasiesie no ho wase ho boko denti anyansa ne adwen akom near baby say you see and to my go and find hata abonte all those kinds of things. And is that what we see? Bank of behavior. A debe pana mahama epe free Ghana for.
Open ukredi, open pepepeyo, open puntu, open kanko.
And you do that by telling lies about your country. Lies could control foul mind. Now if you say, I don't know Ghana for everywhere. Look, it's a say, let's look at the man Mahama. As a young man growing up, now Papa is minister, now me boy. Emma free secondary school, who enjoy me. Oh Papa is minister, now can work crahabo bet me a pay with fees, but the government at the time the free secondary school cost through Honintino. Oh Papa do now enjoy free secondary school until you were educated at the expense of this country, up to whatever levels. We are going to make a crabby, MPD, or may na the MP, or the deputy minister, as I be a minister, be a vice president, as I be a president, Nina living on this state called Ghana. May na Ufi presidency, no so no within couple of months, and our spokesperson, who my friend say, Mukhtar. Yes. Ebeka say, untimi hwe now you're crying a hell. Ufi your man so after getting as gracia and all those things, besides crown, a man say, my after presidency, no, or man there's a support to just a couple of months I would have presidency didn't know. As now my Becca said, untimi hwe to you're in the hell. How irresponsible could that be? Is that why I didn't now also yet do bit my BS be the presidency president Biwana? Because ultimately more bra. You can't live on your own. You said Debiano, you must live on this state.
But that cannot be entirely correct because the basis was that or say the Sefatano as Naketiano and
it was proved later as a lie.
Exactly, probably you can look at that, but the basis for that reaction was that the Sefatano in
and American. So baby America will be the MPs, deputy minister, if any say, vice president and president. Until after a couple of months, let's say impose will pay in MIA. This one you never heard.
But it doesn't also stop it. The minor responsibility, you know. They should
no, that was even a lie because ministry need the information by out. Until I do baby as one behave responsibly. You're supposed to who you are. Otherwise, na can you fair. So man the documents by Babonte, I bet you salary or no aqua sign. But under the circumstance, the state was compelled to bring out this information. Say what did you say, Kenya, and yet we're in April. Is that why I feel said by hook or crook on some the president bill memu because that state support no own to me and support no. And then you go about telling these lies. As a small boy cry me tiffy growing up no. Say me here be for me mammy ho and say be number say me sugu no so by my training. To tia ne dia man wo fie nti no me ba na ma me ne ahoho te ho mo a me ntumi nka ma ahoho no te ho no NTB at best no ebia me kɔ no masan aba ana se me ba be de maso me de ma no be kwa tua me ma me aso ho na papa so ho na maka asɛm kro a kyerɛ no why because enye fɛ sɛ hoho no bɛte nsɛm ni bi
ahoho te a etimi de asodwe ba
fine it depends on by your training
but you are also not a determinant of what now, the NDC and the President Mahama should say.
Yes. They can do whatever they have. How I feel about what they have done. I'm Jamaican. Now, what can so? Kokan no cre. Say yeah, now what can no cre as it is. It could be a new nyasem. Now you share videos no go show you. One, is it not a fact to say? A jakon abusunya for any police ni be a wewu. Man and young police for akwane yase. Ekoshi jama kakra wo because omu colleague ewunti no omakoshi jama kakra wo homo omo yiyase pictures omu ko twa e na wo whole president former president wakofa sa video no ebeka se ekokusi wo jako yiyase e wa bra enye no kre. Is it not a shame? Is it not a shame? But I be the time utimti a ukofa obi foforo yiyase pictures and they make us a we see this place.
Why am I picking Hong Kong? What can say?
No, say me kick about my hand and make my can now boom at the time.
Mama acknowledge say Member of Parliament for Ododo Edwin Neil and Van der Point, so I can say, Honorable Akwaba.
Me just so expect me to make any at a time.
But the interest is not just the video; it's about other contents and so draw my attention to that effect.
It's the video there you're wrong.
Yes,
the basis of the videos. And how they represent
amongst
if it is false,
other reasons were the presence of Afghanistan police people there.
Remember, I won't shy away from that. This is what you have to say videos no use and the chairman for
clearly, if the family comes out to say those things NC or and from so
no doubt about that. No
doubt about that.
You say you know who police no cheap politics are here.
The family didn't say cheap.
Cheap politics no way to make. So again, for a president to tell a lie, Chantro said the candidate no. Not state security for Enadino Enam.
Were you there?
2 MPs.
Were you there?
Abedi Adansi said.
Did you see it?
They were in my car. Honorable Eslausu, Minister for Communication. Honorable Pius, Deputy Minister of Information.
Okay, yes, na try a hombra minute back up a bow belandi na fe.
What did you can't say my Ubecan, won't throw out Uchano.
Okay, Honorable Landi, but some of your text messages about my main kind of quickly and for you are allowing those words to be used by that man in your studio. He can't discuss the matter, but his attention is on speaking bad about Mahama, and you're allowing that to pass. Only, I really hope that you don't attempt to stop the NDC money if he decides to toe the same line. The videos shown are all over international platforms. The MPP can continue to joke like the man here. Nobody is a joker here. It's also Chenagri. This government is a shame. Very Makubaji or Jine and there. But some point say, what's James Jenny Boateng telling us? Did anything happen at any of the 137 polling stations? Is the video on the dancing security guys Ayawaso West Wagon? Ayawaso West Wagon. Mahama simply lied, and the action is disgraceful, especially when he is an ex-president. And another one also comes in. Lots of your text, but my memory will land because of time. Then everyone is making the amount.
Yes, then I can say, I dance here about Bontain. Say videos out here, you know. Nyamaka say and see. Fortunately for you, as a former president, no, the sitting president, unlike all time and Nyomesia, no boo and Nigusono. The sitting president said, Nyoman Kosono, and Kay, until you say your son not complete. It was set up a commission. Nipa titi sono Ghana ni bia ni ho mo a or any doubt about our credibility. And was it so bia evidence bia to the contrary the Keke Kenya that evidence bia fabra na commission ni hwem. And as a responsible citizen, vice president, former president, evidence bia ono or the commission hwana. Ope o man ya, is that the way to go? Say yati commission, some BSc obi afisi antwa yie. Wa dance die bia betum dia boa ma ya hu bia so bi die bone a ya so no mu se bibi na ntwa ya kwa bi dia hihye ni ya next time ya hihye ni ye no o bibi a fabra o se menko
okay
kosi ankosi nkoda eti sa de kire o man se me own kingdom now I do what I like, another person so tell no anso kingdom no so ye de ope, another person so ti baby o so pe no o ye de ope. No, that's not the way to go. It in say. So you're a responsible citizen. You have this commission. I go so at
Maminu we on
na commission no any day.
Mahama doesn't believe in Ghana. Is that so? We now have a president who speaks with a foreign accent. Does he believe in Ghana?
Open respond.
Of course, what's the
that Ben and Nipa accent a be issue or meme.
Okay.
Now, we a media person. Nana Adom, foreign accent Ben or de Casa.
Okay.
Foreign accent Ben artisan Nana Adom de Casa.
Okay, but that's it. It was Ni Akwaba.
Yeah.
I mean, in the heat of Ayawaso West Wagon is sense. by election, those exposures and experience now, you've gone through it and you know what happens. Yeah, per solution, we can't run away from personalities like Neil and Van der Poel. Your party leader and our former president, Akasa, on this matter, meeting diplomats, or Safumafu, senior minister, quickly, the description is shameful and hypocritical. The office of John Mahama 2020 rather turns that hypocrisy and that shameful act on area of Safumafu. And it's back and forth, the way forward in times like this.
And you can remember what I say. Na match our team for no work for you na makache me nwa say o free parliament no why fa pa nso ono betana he nsem o ka no emfata no na me nim so kasasa na mafa so na me de aseda kese ama me party executives for nyina na NDC for nyina ne da ombe kan ye ho a ye boot for boot work e wo do
why a boot for boot work?
It was massive. I've never seen any work in Accra like that before.
Yeah, about the criticisms about you are doing boot for boot work.
Me bobolo. Nti me ti boot for boot asepa. Me ti ase papa. Ayatia me nan so de ne boot tia me nan so a. Me de betia no so ma ne de ahoro. Nti me ti ase pa. Ne work mo say ne di kan no meka say me ya say abrante fefefe young one to say kojo opon kroma ode ne ho awura politics mo ama yede ne duku apepa efin de bia sa yede nanim ekogina ho ema say on nyinwama anka onno kojo no emfata ne din ni nanim na asema meka kire na say afi ne obam politics o ma de bia yusu to do the dirty worker. Udin no we no nyam e na ohwere.
He's an information minister. It's not a question of any
dirty. Enye matter of information. If I were information minister and I'm told to say what is not right, I'll refer to what Dambotre did when he was information minister. Better put your job done than allow yourself to be used.
But he's following up to the diplomats.
Me no argument because it will not take anything out of the substance of what I'm saying.
Me or the catch almost said the president
Mahama diplomats no omunti mass omo memu omo nimlesi ye omo share diplomats government for nko for share diplomats no that's no catch omo and the diplomats they Jimmy say government account say catch omo no ma sorry come ama ho omo come ama ho no mbuzas and asem no then no mpesa nka oka omo they say Ghana omo ehu omo huye omo nim Ghana ejinaye ewo Africa ha eba abato ene nkaka ho a Ghana ebu a ye oma Ghana na saa de we si wo Ghana ebi si da we asin ba bia ebi si da e wo we asin ba bia ene ngwa system say esi wo Ghana na omo pemwaye. He is the leader of the largest opposition party in our country. And every responsible diplomatic community, so you must say, see, country bisa. What they try somewhere and say, they approach the largest opposition in order to calm things down. Opportunity to move venti. And that is exactly what the diplomatic community did. When we're in government, they did that. Several times they met Nana Akufo-Addo. We didn't call it irresponsibility. When they said all sort of lies. We never call Nana Akufo-Addo as being irresponsible. Na olidi amanfo ekojina broche demonstration against Ghana. Wabra yeko pesika. Yeko pesika be your man ni no. Olidi amanfo ekojina ho demonstration against. No kind of irresponsibility. It was the highest level of irresponsibility. But now hanyam ngwa because na janum na asefo Kwame Nkrumah sa ebra Kwame Nkrumah independence amomai. Nti na yam ga wo mujim wo mujam. Ne to sumienu. Say MPP are talking about video. What the video sells to do. Some microphone can say the only thing it sought to do is say these people are not regular police officers. So why are they armed? To the sense say abandon more platform, public platform, and normally display just in discipline as far as security services is concerned. About you say na sumade. Police, Ghana Police Service, Ghana Security Services, and no power parade to help him. Never you assume, say few man. Then obi or say, or yes, security service, no be general, or shabo you say, or shasumade, bemo shasumade. So security. That is what we wanted to portray to the whole world. The indiscipline and the sort of bunch of hoodlums are. Yadi two asho musem ewo memu. That is what the video wanted to portray. And yet about whether they were at a Jaku's funeral or they were at a policeman's funeral. That is not a substance. That's not a substance. Video no so. And yet video President Makoshi and them here. Mu TV station they try. What I say? Could you come and talk about what? Commission. Could you come should by this time if some focus on intro, needs a fracture in Sema Enko ye at the commission. And the minister of National Security bet now kase 226. Oh no station or ye Juma Joy TV. A video ye 2 over 46. Those are things Kojo Nkrumah should be ready to talk about. And not to be talking about President John Dramani Mahama and use those words against him. What I say? And people are talking about responsibility. President John Mahama. I just say, okay, we are Ghana for best sell. Because we are in President John Dramani Mahama very year in Nepal. In Nepal, that he's been the most responsible politician of man. In political leaders are almost second or die. And no crime from responsibility. In political leaders are they are virtually festering a presidential army.
In which country?
Ghana. And Afghanistan. Ghana.
The political leader. We have just Nanado, the Indum, President Mahama, former President Mahama.
One Indum army. One Mahama army.
But you see,
the invisible force and data force, what are they?
But one today.
Where Yanfa mercenaries, a man Nkrumah material.
Well, we're back. Before, but apart from the Jama fiasco, which the family of the officer is calling on President Mahama to apologize, is it not possible the security guys not to got to the station at the time the 2 Land Cruisers got there? Mere coincidence. No other footage to support President Mahama escorting the candidate's claim. What is there to show the Land Cruisers were that of the candidate being alleged? Not to equalize. Do you remember Azoka Boys, Triponi, Naba, myself, acid on Peter Mensah, even my old Saba mates, famous Odududu. Worst things happened under his administration. They justified it. He should allow the commission to work. Former MC for Techima and Prince Donyina, and also Eddie Way Abba. Ameto Kwame, also Eddie about say, is there a plan to invite people into your studio only for them to denigrate President Mahama? If Honorable Aya has nothing to say about the topic for discussion, I think it was wrong for you to help him to peddle falsehood and insults against President Mahama. The MPP's fear of Mahama is the reason for this. Mahama shall come again. Ameto Kwame. I don't know so the Abba. Yep.
Yeah. Make us say, I am MPP for cancer and say, we are me. The Ben Nagana Bakosep. Yes, it's a man for say. Ebinum armed robbers. Ebinum atutuboto for. Ebinum.
How do you jump into that conclusion?
Oh, please. And you know, we can text message. One can say, I will say, do you not send a text message? Now, you catch me. Me boy.
Yeah.
And I may catch her. Say that Ben Ghana Bakosep. Yes, it's a tutuboto for armed robbers. To trust them for macho men. You did a tour. Go on, a tour Ghana police for Nibi. And next police phone tade atete. Yes, show munta de mono. Police phone to me touch mpaboa mu de mo sika to mo mpaboa ye show mo boot what I say na car police for kwan use da no police ni a Ghana ban constitution afa wo why you furutu e na woto e na wotwi sa nkrofo yi tese ningwase a de go police adwuma no enya de a se e men na ye nyina tena wo tese police for kwan ni o so control police commission commander mo betena se ka se oni bebe vae ka mu yusu minister of interior IGPC ka ne nyom dia nso ye di police ya bo ho adentina se ka ne nya police for dia ai di police Ghana police abo ho enemi ba mo news ye se binu akoshe soja ntade o mo nya soja fo ya che omo me feel say police ni hu obi o wa police atade onye police ni police be che no eye de na police ni hu obi o di Ghana police abo car ho aka na nye police for dia aya nche no ene so bit kwa bontin no nekratuo no de yentu trasen wa bontin police to meche no sanko fo esi nye police for Ghana police for come cause e on police stations no omo nkratuo nti samanfo bi kratuo de ba police station na police for nche won ande de police for nche won mu di sanu guase sema be gu Ghana so nsema bi nsi da e wo Ghana e na mu di aba ye kan mu hwe so nka mama di na mobo extricate yourself from this shameful and unacceptable behavior in this country and stop talking about mama. It's a shame as a government. I'm for two Abama. If so, you protected the citizens of this country. Mudi Ghana sika iya depa. There's all kind. You see, Mkofoni will be army. Aban etna ho. Police were ho. Na individual set up a group. Minister, a whole minister for national security. See. Hey,
they are owned by individuals, not parties.
They are owned by individuals. Hey, Ghana, Misremo, you say individuals in eti ekuo, omuti armies. Individuals eti army.
They can vigilante.
Munsare. No munya army. What's the difference between?
Oh, me matimi army ku omo bo me ho ba me pia ko bia na omo di mechi.
Me can say armed forces. Yeah. Army, what is army?
So a bunch of people put together.
Yes. Brofo. Keke. Ana minya twi ni no minya twi ni ntima me den me kan
so twi a wo kan bu benya afra wo nya
ayese oh on pese me use ka say on pese me use word army a group me use
Oh, Dilade.
Oh, Dabi, actually, me and Kanokre. Niesino, Mr. Me can say politicians. Ni a baby and your macono every year. I yet hey, me hey. The fracture a month for a hayen. A month for any that's one yen. Say, a dear and ne Ghana abako semu. NDC are buying a share ye, EDC why a friend democracy, fourth Republican democracy way. Say a beya kwada says ya ubinyi abeye say penny. Yes, she share no mujane. Man Tremobi. NDC she share. Fourth Republic, yes, she share no Musimunye.
I see.
Mutin one consultative assembly. First Republican elections, one yebi.
NDC she share the other NDC two. Third Republican Constitution gu yo.
Mpacho ne two third Republican Constitution yes PNDC.
Ntina me bisa so you sure say NDC.
Me see PNDC. Me see NDC and the fourth Republic and a war no. Nti ye ya dwini say ye be gama na ya akoda pa.
Let me chile go.
Ye wo labor no mu say mu ni
PNDC and the buy na say NDC
na the buy. NDC
na the buy.
NDC and sustainable democracy. Oh. Na the one na the buy.
But say
the say so you two some na de buy there and you say you two some ni tool ma ban gu ye
the Republican from history.
Oh, but it's a fact of history.
That was the point.
It's a fact of history. I'm not ashamed of it.
That was the point.
No,
I'm a product of the
revolution.
Democracy gu you now also aside biaba. I mean,
I'm talking about you people. I'm talking about you people not participating.
That was the point.
In 1992, when the Constituent Assembly was being formed,
you were not part of it.
It was under PNDC.
Opted out.
And I'm saying, so what you have to say NDC in a year, dear. Then it means NDC have the third Republican government, democracy. No, a good year. What is the point?
Okay,
so we two back over now.
NDC for the 2 year. And NDC for the 2 year. To say Mwasi for two Nkrumah, Mwasi for two Nkrumah.
Okay.
What I say? And I'm what's that? Sir, Mwasi for the two Nkrumah.
And
you Mwasi for the two omo.
Oh, you best hear about.
Oh,
Hama Ogu.
Okay, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama writes, no amount of government-sponsored propaganda and distraction will take away the stigma of the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election as darkest day in the history of Ghana's fourth Republican democracy. The substance of the matter is the violence meted out to innocent Ghanaians by hoodlums of the ruling government paraded initially as state security personnel. Thanks to the videos filmed by television stations and other individuals, the true identity of these hoodlums, identified as members of the Invisible and Delta forces of the NPP, have been revealed. The victims injured on the day did not take guns and shoot themselves. They were injured by powerful assault rifles given to partisan hoodlums for the purpose of intimidating Ghanaians who were peacefully exercising their franchise in a by-election. The meeting held by my office in conjunction with the NDC party and the minority in parliament was to correct the false impression given to the diplomatic corps that NDC was the cause of the violence in Ayawaso West Wuogon. No amount of propaganda from government can erase the shame this country has was subjected to on that bloody Thursday. In any case, this is not the first and will not be the last time in our history that an opposition group is meeting with the diplomatic corps to explain or clarify its version or outlook on policy or events in our country. Government must own up to its responsibilities and ensure the prosecution of the criminal elements who it deployed in Ayawaso West Wuogon. It is those actions that paint the country black internationally, not those who expose the dastardly acts sanctioned by government and its appointees. In the public interest, let me share with you one of the 3 main videos. Okay, so that's it. That's President today's 18th. President John Dramani.
After the spokesperson did be by
the president has written to that effect that not the propaganda that more and a bit distracting.
His lies.
What is the lie here?
The video now I feel almost before the his lies. Look, which video? Former president.
Which video? Which video? Which video? Which video?
Read my man for her. Nipa now or Motia kind of masem. Said no sharing Nadiadino. Former NDC secretary, Kotokraba. The picture.
Now they on to me on visible forces.
No, he talks about discipline in the service.
Yes, this is a man who was enrolled in 2015. The picture
he talks about discipline in the service.
And today, please.
You
recruited him into the police service. In any case, look.
No function me bread so unfortunate.
Oh, am I? Oh, me. But before I be on my Mr. I say back me pese me can pay me na was ase me so. Mr. Ghana for nyina especially MPP4. Mu me Mompaye and my vice president Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Okay, there be number of accidents are AC no enye. E bia na the drivers ni convoy